One man, one mission, to rid the world of chronic anxiety once and for all. The anxiety guy, Dennis Simsek, shares his personal transformation from living a life filled with overwhelming worry to becoming a full-fledged positivity machine, a leading authority in generalized anxiety. Dennis gets to the truth of your mental health challenges and sets you on a path to transforming each and every area of your life. Here he is, the one and only, the anxiety guy.
Warrior, I welcome you to episode number 165 of the Anxiety Guy podcast. I'm Dennis Simsek. Today we're discussing panic attacks. I am not only going to get you through panic attacks, but I'm going to help your supporter help you get through panic attacks as well. So if you've got a support person that's usually there with you in that moment, I will tell you exactly how that person must respond to you having an episode. Before I get into this episode, make sure to head over to anxietyexit.com. And if you're in the California area, come see me on March the 16th in LA for a one-day mastermind event, my friends. Again, anxietyexit.com under events. Let's get into this podcast episode on panic attacks and panic disorder. You know, friends, I was in the same boat as you, highly confused, bewildered, wondering when the next panic attack might strike, whether I'd be able to deal with it and deal with myself, say at the workplace or driving or walking or whatever it is. And it was such a debilitating process. It was almost like I was looking over my own shoulder, hoping, praying, wishing that another episode wouldn't happen because I didn't know how to handle it. I would lose friends. I would lose self-worth and self-esteem. And I found myself in a very, very dark place. So we need to take panic attacks very seriously. Now, I want to get deep into understanding how a fighter, a flighter, and a freezer respond to stressful situations and how this response actually takes place. First of all, let's understand someone who is in the fight area, okay? So a fighter, what they start to do is they raise their voice. They feel tension in their neck and in their jaw area. They use very strong movements and very strict movements. They also show a high level of impatience. Finally, their eyes are very much glazed over and locked in on a specific target or enemy. When we're talking about fight mode is the intention and action to fight back against the thing that has caused you to experience panic. It's to find a quick solution to a challenge that may have unconsciously been brooding up for some time. Panic attacks are seen as an out-of-the-blue occurrence. Anxiety attacks are when you know the cause of the attack. Now, although the panic attack may feel like it's out of the blue, in actuality, there's been a trail of cookie crumbs, meaning needs that haven't been met, emotions that have been fluctuating, thoughts that got attached to and branched to one another, certain actions, and unconscious recognitions of fragments that remind the subconscious mind of past emotional traumas that have all led to this moment, the panic attack. Now, if you're a sufferer from panic attacks and you find yourself very much in the fight mode, here's what you don't want to do. You don't want to try and get rid of it right away, as this will create more pressure, expectations won't get met, and catastrophic thinking will be a further result. Instead, let the body become less sensitized in time when it believes it's the right time. These feelings are uncomfortable, warrior. They are not life-threatening. So remind yourself of this and act in line with adopting this new idea. Your inner dialogue must transition from a hardened way of speaking to yourself to gentleness and full acceptance of what has occurred. Your system loves you unconditionally, and in this moment, its goal is to protect you. So find the peace in that, warrior, and respond with understanding. Now, if you're a supporter of someone who's going through the fight stage, here's what you don't want to do. You don't want to try and undermine their authority, meaning interrupting or questioning what they say. You don't want to annoy them, and you don't want to laugh at them. These are the worst things you can do to someone who's in fight mode. What you do want to do as a supporter is listen. You want to explain things from your angle, your perspective. You want to accept what's currently going on, and you want to offer solutions. If the fighter has nothing to fight against, he will back off. And your dialogue with the fighter must promote this idea. Now let's understand the flight mode or flee mode. When we're talking about the characteristics of someone who's in flight mode, you'll notice that their eyes are looking away. Their hands and feet are very much fiddling, and their breathing is very, very fast, shallow, and they sweat profusely. These are people in the flight mode or the flee mode. I want to start with the sufferer. If you're a sufferer of the flight mode, here's what you don't want to do. The first thing you don't want to do is rush. To rush is to accept and strengthen the very thing your subconscious believes is a threat. It's telling you to flee because of an occurrence that has threatened your survival in some way. What you do want to do is neutralize your speed of walking, talking, breathing, etc., meaning find the middle ground of fast and slow. The more you focus on this middle ground, warrior, of speed, the deeper the signals will be sent to your subconscious that your sympathetic system or fight, flight, or freeze system can be turned off. And future situations don't justify this kind of response. Remember, if you can prove safety over your subconscious mind in situations it believes is unsafe, your associations begin to shift and the panic attack no longer arrives in those moments. It's all about projecting safety. What you're currently thinking, saying, acting, and believing about yourself is most likely fueling the panic attacks that are showing up in your life. Understand this fully and see every sensitive moment as a chance for training, to train the system until it no longer responds in this manner and instead becomes neutral in the meanings that it places over these situations. Finally, we're talking about the freeze response. This was a very, very common response for me during my panic attacks. Now, these people literally stop moving. Therefore, they stop the arrival of oxygen to the lungs. Their eyes are glazed over. They're looking at nothing in particular. Their body language is droopy, and they have a very submissive attitude that shows up. Now, as a sufferer, here's what you don't want to do. You don't want to stop breathing completely. You got to be aware of this. And you don't want to add to the very thing that made you freeze. Now, as a sufferer going through the freeze response, here's what you don't want to do. You don't want to stop breathing completely. You got to be aware of this because it adds to the very thing that made you freeze. The Kubert effect, as I like to call it, is attaching one catastrophic thought to another until the emotional brain tags along, and the person finds himself or herself lost and frightened. What you do want to do is you want to speak. As much as the freezer wants to become completely contained and internal, it's important to keep dialogue going with yourself and others. The goal is to have access to your thinking mind, to give yourself the best opportunity to move from instinctive to rational or logical. Of course, easier said than done during panic, but warriors, we have no choice but to adopt these things. We have to take this route because what you're doing right now isn't working, and it's sucking the joy right out of your life. So what I need you to do, if you're a freezer, is to speak up. Internally dialogue with yourself and others, reminding yourself that the threat is much more gigantic in your mind than it really is. Also, you want to make sure you turn your focus to one area outside of your body. Focus on it and describe it to yourself and others. I want you to break it down completely and list off what you can see, hear, smell about that thing. What kind of texture does it have? Touch it. What does it feel like? Where your focus goes is where your emotional charge flows. So at the time of freezing, it's important to be engaged in external things as much as humanly possible. Now, as a supporter, here's what you don't want to do. You don't want to push for being courageous and utilizing willpower. I personally hate this. Don't try and pump them up or wake them up. What you do want to do is you want to match or mirror his or her body language. You want to respect the fact that the freezer won't be willing to talk much. Speak in a soft and slow manner. And I want you to discuss small baby steps forward. Remember, if the freezer slowly and gently begins to see through the fear, they will expand their perspectives and their actions. No matter what, as the helper, don't allow yourself to get caught up in the thoughts and emotional states of the sufferer, or else you are of no help to them anymore. Now, warriors, remember this. The best way to end panic attacks is to recognize which unconscious or conscious patterns lead to it and keep it alive. This demands a critical evaluation over yourself. This is something that too many people don't take the time to do or say they just don't know how. But it's simple. Just carry around an emotional journal and start writing down your emotional reactions as the day progresses. You don't need to take note of your neutral emotional states, but more so your extreme emotional states and what patterns in thinking, speaking, and reacting may have led to that heightened emotion. The best way to end panic attacks is to prevent them from occurring in the first place, rather than waiting for the moment of panic to do something about it. This week's video on YouTube will show you a personal side of me and my ability to prevent panic attacks from occurring. So don't forget to head to YouTube right now and subscribe under The Anxiety Guy and hit the bell for all the notifications. Warriors, that's our episode today. I want to thank you for joining me. I love you all so much. Remember, you are more than anxiety. I'll see you soon.
Thanks for being an important part of the Anxiety Guy podcast community. If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave a positive rate and review. If you're searching for further support on your road to recovery from anxiety, head over to anxietyexit.com and take part in the powerful End the Anxiety program based around the CBT model. If you're searching for a more one-on-one approach, you can sign up now for personal coaching sessions with Dennis via Skype. Remember, you are more than anxiety. See you in the next episode.